Welcome back, family. LANCESCURV here, the Scurv podcast. The ideas are flowing, the topics are piling up, and I'm just in high hog heaven because of that. And when I woke up this morning, one stood out in the forefront. And it's about a particular principle, concept. And I titled this, Why Smart Men Walk Away from Arguments After 40. And the only difficulty that I had in creating this was trying to decide what would be the appropriate age to state as a starting point. Because I know a lot of men who are above 40 who are confrontational, egotistical, argumentative. But I also know many men who get to the age of 40, which it is so funny for me, I have to tell you. I turned 63 in April, and it's already January at the time of this discussion of 2026. And I remember when I was much younger, how 40 seems so old. I remember being a young teenager in school and in casual conversation with teachers or people who are older, or overhearing conversations, and they would say they were 40 or 43, or I was like, whoa, wow, that's old. And at almost 63, I feel good. And I'm looking back at 40. I'm saying, man, when I turned 63, that would have been 23 years ago, almost a quarter of a century. That's young. So I couldn't really say and nail it down. Many people will say, well, Lance, 40 is too young to say that men begin to go through these changes where they become more mature and less argumentative. Some may say 35, some say 50, because I was really going to go with 50. But that would be a disrespect to the guys that I know that are much younger. And I do know some young men who are 25 fit the bill of this discussion. So it's not me saying it's one particular age, because there'll be some man out there who wakes up at 40 on his birthday and realizes he's not there yet, or realize he's been there for many years already. So bear with me on that. But I feel these changes, and I've felt these changes for a long time, because personally, I was always very verbal, not argumentative, but always defending what I saw to be the truth. And at this point, if you've noticed, I'm still motivated. I'm still, I wouldn't say fiery, but it's a controlled furnace that I have now. Some things I see irk me. Some things I observe in the ignorance of others tick me off, but it's not worth it. Because when you realize how much wasted energy that you could have salvaged to use for something productive in your life, because I've seen many people that I know go back and forth and back and forth. And I said this recently on another show, with strangers. I mean, really getting upset where there's one guy I know, he stayed up all night arguing with someone on Facebook back and forth. And there were others who were chiming in, keeping the argument going. I'm going to say it like this. This joker called in to work the next day. He had to get up early to go to work. In the middle of him debating on Facebook, he decided that he was going to dedicate his whole next day, or just wear this person down with what he had to say. and he called into work and got back on Facebook and argued till about maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. And the argument started like 10 o'clock the night before. It happens, and nobody's going to admit that. He could have got his sleep, went to work, not disrupted his sleep patterns. You can't let this thing pull you. And really and truly, it's worse now that we have social media. Understand that our minds are engaged with defending our stance and defending our point, when really most of the time it's ego. With issues that I see in the community, in the society, when people try to make a comment or say something to really upset me or pull me into an argument, you don't really see me going in like I used to. And I never did it foolishly. It was always on an intellectual level and sometimes comedic, because I'm a comedian too. And I use comedy to diffuse a situation or to just come in an unexpected manner. So yeah, that's what it is. But I've noticed these changes in myself, and this is why I can write on it. And I just wanted to share, because once you hit a certain level of maturity and realize energy is limited, and this goes for anybody of any age. And again, this is not just about why smart men walk away from arguments after 40. I'm going to include women. I wrote it as a man thing, but there are a lot of women who don't get as emotional as they used to and understand that what's the point? It's like a car accident, and I'll get into my notes here, but it's like a car accident that you notice on the morning commute, and it blocks up traffic so bad. Backed up maybe for miles, but of course several blocks, and it affects intersections blocks away. That one crucial accident that happened in an intersection, and you said, man, I'll never get through this. You end up getting to work an hour and 15 minutes late, but the word was already out, so your supervisor already knows that you have an excuse. But when you come back or approach that intersection or go toward it, even though you're not near it, the anticipation grows within your heart, because you remember what you experienced before in that same intersection that you have to pass through. And even though you know now it's not early morning, it's a late afternoon commute or whatever time you work, but you're coming back through that intersection and you're relieved to see how open and clear it is. Well, you should be. The accident is over. The ambulance came, the tow trucks came and took the vehicles, and that whole procedure. So now, you feel relieved. It's the same thing when you get into these heavy arguments with people and disputes, but then years later, the same thing is presented to you and you know how to approach it. You just let it go, because you realize before you wasted your energy, and that's maturity. So that's how the mind works. And so for me, I keep my energy now. I'm not going to waste it on these entities who just want to challenge you for ego's sake or their own level of insecurity. And so now, oh yes, here comes LANCESCURV. I'm going to argue with him. I'm going to beat him in the argument because I feel so bad about myself. And again, you have to understand how people see you. They want to dismantle you when you carry yourself with confidence. Confidence doesn't mean that you're bragging or you're putting people down, but when you walk with a quiet, steady confidence over time, that rattles certain people who are not sure of themselves. It doesn't mean you have to reduce yourself in their presence. But let's talk about this particular topic, because something changes in a man after 40. And remember, that's interchangeable. It could be 45, 57. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or announcements. It arrives quietly, often in the middle of a conversation that once would have turned into an argument. Instead of pushing back, instead of proving a point, he pauses and lets it go. You see it in fathers, uncles, co-workers, and longtime friends. Men who once debated everything now speak less. Not because they've lost strength, but because they've gained clarity. Their silence isn't confusion, it's awareness. There comes a moment when a man realizes that not every disagreement deserves his energy. He understands that being right does not always bring peace, and peace has become more valuable than validation. This shift can feel real strange at first. Society often teaches men that silence means weakness, that dominance means engagement. But maturity reveals a different truth. Restraint is power. This discussion explores why so many men over 40 choose silence over argument, why this change is natural, and why it represents growth rather than decline. By the time a man reaches his 40s, he has likely been through thousands of arguments, family disputes, workplace debates, relationship conflicts, and endless conversations where someone needed to win. Over time, patterns emerge. The same disagreements repeat with different faces. The same energy is spent with the same results. And I've always noticed that. It's like you can move to a different state, a different country, and some of the same arguments, not exactly maybe the topic, but the same spirit in this new person who you didn't know or who you're getting to know, and they come at you the same way. It's like an energy that follows you, if you've noticed that. Different times of your life, different physical locations. It's like, what is this? And when you think of the proximities that these arguments can arise and how oftentimes with the same people, it's kind of the same argument. It may be about a different thing, but it's the same energy where they're coming at you, chastising you, and you realize it's not about that topic. It's personal, and it's an energy thing. It's like they're trying to attack your energy. You can see it coming, and after a while, you just learn how to avoid it, not because you're running or because you're weak, but you already see where it's going. You can always, it's like somebody saying to you, 2468, and you know the next number that's coming is 10. Or 357, you know the next number is 9. And these particular people who are in your circle, it may not be a tight inner circle, but like I said, it could be family, it could be co-workers, it could be people you're in relationships with, you know, strangers. But the people in your circles, they will repackage that argument with a different topic, but the same proximity to you. It's like when you go outside on a sunny day, and before you went outside, probably this is your day off, and you turn on the news, on the Weather Channel, and it says how beautiful and crisp and sunny and no chance of rain. But then they can be wrong. You go outside and it is a bright sunny day, but you see these dark clouds over the horizon. And you wait 5 minutes and you see that it's coming closer to you, because even the weatherman can be wrong. You have to trust your intuition. You can't walk out there without an umbrella and say, well, the weatherman said it's going to be beautiful, so I'm going with him. No, go with what you see. And in this case with arguments, when you feel that feeling, abandon ship. It's not worth it. Keep your energy to yourself. And I've always been fiery and targeted my debates where you decide to have a debate, and you say, well, listen, let's have a discussion. Because, I do these shows and I've been doing it a few weeks, less than 25 years. And you can have a friendly debate. But most of the time, family, co-workers, relationships, there's an extra venom that comes at you when you do have that type of proximity, because not all people in your family or co-workers or relationships are going to come against you that way, but you will have it. And because they're closer to you and have a closer stance, right? They can get to you easier. You have to be shrewd because you can see people coming at you. Like you can see a coworker who has no issue with you, but you may have defeated him in an argument before, and he's waiting for the chance to come back. So now he's going to bring something up, maybe a new development in a debate that makes him or gives him a stance where he feels he can defeat you now. It's not about the truth in your perspectives. It's about winning and defeating and ego. That will never end. Those perpetual arguments. So you can be around friends or frenemies who have those issues also. And you could be at a restaurant enjoying a nice conversation and they'll bring it up, whatever it is, to start all over again. Or you can see them going toward that topic, and you have to know how to be shrewd and spin them on that and take it away. I've become very good at that because I know people who have hang-ups that they want to inflict on you because you're living a certain way. So the only way to get at you is try to get you upset through some type of ongoing debate or argument. You got to watch the energy of the people around you. And like I said, my biggest victory is to get away from probably 100% of those energies that I've known. Not just because I moved away and moved out of the country, because we do have technology where we can continue to discuss, but my rhythm now, that's the only way you can get to me is through technology, through WhatsApp or whatever, or emails or text messages or whatever. And I can quickly and easily answer back when I want, if I do at all. But that's just the way it is. But like I said, I'm going to say it again. The same disagreements repeat with different faces. That's that spirit energy. It's like there's something cosmic. There's something on a spiritual level. Spiritual doesn't always mean good. I heard somebody say, oh, this person is not very spiritual. We're all damn spiritual. What are you talking about? Everybody's spiritual. But what side of the coin are you on? Are you neutral? Which there is no neutrality in spirituality. Either your energy is leaning toward the positive or some type of growth, or if you just float along, you're evil or going toward that. Because you tell me, you get in a boat with a little boat that you paddle, right? And you're paddling, you're going somewhere. Okay, that person has a certain direction. I'm going to the other side of the lake over there, and that's where I'm going. But say it's not even a lake, a river, and you don't have paddles. You don't determine where you're going. The stream is going to take you where it wants to take you. So if you allow the energies to take you where it wants to take you in this world, you're going to end up in a sorry state of affairs. Because when you're positive, to be honest, you're always swimming upstream because it's easy to float and let the current take you. And people will talk with conviction about their lives, but most of the time, they're a slave to their lower energies and desires. Not to get off topic, since I said that, that reminded me of a teacher in high school of art and design in Manhattan. Teacher named Miss Frazier. Is a black woman who was hip. She was just hip. She was an older black woman, but she was hip. And there was this one classmate of mine who was always in the hallways trying to talk to the girls that were going to other classes that weren't necessarily in our class. And he would always walk in, not 10 minutes late or nothing like that, but he was always walking in. Everybody was seated by the time he walked in. He'd walk in 15 seconds late, 30 seconds late. It was never really a minute, but it was a pattern. And she knew what it was. And she laughed. She had this funny laugh. And this is what she said. You just a slave to your loins. I never forgot that. I cracked up. Everybody cracked up. But that was like perfect. So that was an example of a person who just goes with the flow of the lower desires, because he's there hawking these other pretty girls and trying to talk to them and stuff, which guys are going to do. But it was a bit excessive, because that was not his interest to be in school for the lessons. He wanted to get into a little biology, if you know what I mean. But yeah, eventually a realization sets in. Most arguments are not about truth. They're about ego. They're about being heard, respected, and validated. And after decades of trying to win those battles, a man begins to ask a new question. What is this really costing me? Arguments take more than time. They drain emotional energy, strain relationships, and disrupt inner peace. After 40, energy becomes a valuable resource. A man becomes more selective about where he invests it. Silence becomes a form of calculation. Instead of reacting instantly, he pauses. He asks himself whether this disagreement will matter next year. Most of the time, the answer is no. Political opinions, online debates, careless comments at family gatherings, none of these shape his future in a meaningful way. But isn't that true? And when you see it that way, you allow it to blow over your head. And these people who are trying to provoke disagreements, they notice it too. And sometimes they'll push back. And sometimes they'll see, after repeated attempts to pull you in, they'll let it go. And you know what? They'll take that same energy and go to somebody who will engage them. And they can drain themselves together. And usually these debates continue over years. I don't want to get caught up in that. If you want to say something stupid, and also too, let's take it further. You'll have people who know you real good, right? And they'll try to poke to see where there's a soft spot, maybe an opening in your armor. And so they'll say something and they'll study you real good, or they'll say something about themselves to provoke you. And when they don't get it, I don't know, maybe they're disappointed. And as far as this topic is concerned, I'm going to continue to disappoint people, because I know how to use my energy for something productive. And many of us who are here listening to this understand exactly where I'm coming from. But there's also a deeper fatigue at work. Not physical exhaustion, but a soul level tiredness from decades of performance. For years, many are taught to be strong. And I said many because I'm still including some women in this, right? But we're taught to be strong. Men, of course, are taught to be strong, decisive and unshakable. They learn to assert themselves, defend their views, and dominate conversations when needed. Eventually, that performance becomes heavy. The need to always prove something feels empty. A man begins to see how much energy he spent trying to appear strong instead of actually being at peace. When he chooses silence, something remarkable happens. He starts listening, really listening, not waiting for his turn to respond, but paying attention. He hears fear behind anger, insecurity behind arrogance, pain behind hostility. He realizes that most arguments are emotional releases, not logical discussions. People are often protecting their identity, not seeking truth. Once this is understood, arguing feels pointless, even cruel. Winning no longer feels like victory. And let me go off point to prove a point. You see, I noticed when I worked with the incarcerated as a corrections officer, which has taught me so much about human nature on a more intense level, because you have so many different people with different energies locked in and confined. A pressure cooker of different mindsets and spirits and motivations and agendas. And things can happen subtly and very fast, but not the way you would think. Because let me tell you about this. When you watch TV, when you watch cable TV, when you watch Netflix, when you watch movies that deal with people who are locked up, whether it's a jail or a prison, that presentation is about entertainment. So if you've never been locked up or worked with the incarcerated, you won't know. And what is it that you don't know? What maybe you don't know is that it's quiet 95% of the time, routine. But when you put these movies on, from the time that you put the program on, there's somebody getting stabbed, somebody fighting, some of the staff doing illegal things, smuggling things in, doing this, doing that. And it's like, man, that's why prison scares people so much. And the guys who come out from prison, they will act a little tougher, no matter how weak they were in there, because they know your perception is of this super tough place, which it is when things happen. But when you know how to navigate, it's like being in the street, just a little more intense. That being said, when I've seen guys that were super aggressive, I knew they were hiding something. And there was one guy and he was physically imposing. He's really tall, big, muscular, but he had a little fat on him too. But he was somebody who was a former athlete, and he was mouthing off at me. And he didn't act like he wanted to fight, but he was a little disruptive. And so he told me, "Oh, you think you're all that because you're from New York." Now, they all knew, they could tell by my accent. But I said to myself, what is it behind all of this aggression? And I realized that this man, and not to put anybody down who is, but this man was illiterate. He couldn't read. I figured it out. So his aggression and argumentative behavior was to be on the offense, because deep down He saw me reading something every day, or I would draw and do my artwork between checks. So he knew I was a person who loved the cerebral endeavors. And because he was illiterate, it intimidated him, me just being myself. And I've run into different situations like this, where even before saying a word, I'm in a conversation that I can't get a word in because that person fears me saying something that they don't understand, because they know that either they're illiterate or they're not well learned in certain things. Look, I've never been to the higher schools of learning. My mother was a person who taught in several colleges, and that's my background. So when you're home and you have all of these books, I used to love to read the psychology books. I'm 10 years old reading these things, right? Not grasping everything all the way because I didn't have the life experience, but I pretty much grasped it through observing adults. So when this guy kept ragging me, and everybody was out of their cell in the day room playing cards, watching TV, using the phone, it was a little noisy, as to be expected, not too much. But when I entered the day room to do my routine checks, here he is opening up his mouth. Man, you think you all that? I heard you used to lift weights. You was one of those, and he called me an F word to say I was homosexual. They'll do that. It doesn't bother me because I know what I am and what I like. And so I said, man, what is your problem with me? I said, you always want to challenge me on something. And I was smiling. I said, listen, I said in front of everybody, and I didn't want to embarrass him this way, but he was doing this for months. I said, I'm going to challenge you on something. And he said, man, there's nothing you can challenge me on where I can't whip you. So I had a book in my hand and I flung it. I didn't throw it aggressively, but I kind of tossed it and made it spin before it landed on the table. I said, I challenge you to read one paragraph out of that book. If you can't do it, I prove my point. Let's see how bad you are that way. And he tried to talk over me. I said, read the book. Read half of a page out of that book and make it make sense. So I picked the book up and one of the other inmates took it from me to hand it to him, and he handed it to him. And wouldn't you know, he told me I was full of feces, but he said S-H-I-T, right? Man, you full of this and you full of that, man. I don't know where you coming from. I ain't got no time to read no damn book. I said, because you can't. He never messed with me ever again. Because he knew that I knew why he was aggressive with everybody. And he used to cause a lot of trouble. He wouldn't get into physical altercations, but he was always provoking stuff that led some of the other inmates to get physical. After that embarrassment, he never, ever gave anybody any trouble on any shift or any other inmate in any other area he was transferred to because the word got around. That's why he was so aggressive, because it was him defending something that he was very insecure about. And as a matter of fact, I heard he began to get into programs where he can learn how to read. That was a good exchange then, because it took down his armor and made him face himself, because he feared now if he tried to act tough with anybody. And I think he tried it one time, and the first thing out their mouth was that he couldn't read. And again, I would not ridicule anybody who can't, because there's situations in this world where people have to take care of their families. They might be poor. There might not be much opportunity for employment. They have to start working young and drop out of school, which, if you're taking care of your family, that's a noble thing, you know. So I wouldn't look down on anybody who is in that position. But he was a guy, from what I hear, who never wanted to go to school. He was in the streets all the time, and he didn't even honor basic education, because the ability to communicate is a very, very important thing in this life. Whether you know something or master an area of expertise, it's very important to be able to convey your feelings properly and express yourself, because not being able to is a very, very frustrating thing. But don't get mad at me because you didn't pay attention in school. I had to say that a lot, not in a condescending way, but people will make it seem like you're wrong for trying to better yourself on that level. I'm still trying to better myself. I still read things outside of my path and circle so I can have a better understanding beyond my own life. You see? So it's a lot behind it when you see people like that, you know. But here it is. I'll say this again. He realizes, people like this, that most arguments are emotional releases, not logical discussions. People are often protecting their identity, not seeking truth. Once this is understood, arguing feels pointless, even cruel. Winning no longer feels like victory. The world often misunderstands this shift. Silence is mistaken for weakness or loss of relevance. But in reality, silence requires discipline. It takes strength to stay calm when provoked, and confidence to let someone be wrong without correcting them. Silence communicates something powerful. I don't need to prove myself. It signals self-control, emotional maturity, and inner security. A man who no longer seeks validation becomes difficult to manipulate. As this silence deepens over time, relationships will change. Shallow connections fade away. People who thrived on drama or constant debate drift off. What remains are relationships built on respect, presence, and understanding. What a beautiful thing. When you control yourself and remain silent, it's true. They'll go somewhere else. They won't get the rush, or they won't get the ego rush on trying to win an argument around you. It's just like this. I hate to use this analogy, but it's so true. If you have a dog in your backyard that uses the backyard as a bathroom, and there are things that you don't want to step in, if you're complaining about the flies flying around your window, shovel that stuff up and bury it, because the flies will find somewhere else to go to get that same proximity to feces. So if you don't debate with these people and argue with these people, and you stay cool and silent and in control, that may irk them, but what can they do? I mean, how can you hold a bowling ball that has no holes in it, those 3 little holes? When you argue back, you're giving that person the 3 holes to hold on to you and keep you in that argument and locked in. If the bowling ball has no holes in it, you can't hold it. You move on to the next one that does. That's the power. And the beauty of it all is you don't have to waste any energy. It's a beautiful thing to be self-contained that way. And you see these insecure people, I don't even give them eye contact when they're deemed to be that in my midst. I just move on and just make my plans for the next day, enjoy my life, and keep my energy to myself. Marriages grow stronger when winning arguments is replaced with maintaining harmony. Friendships mature into honest conversations about life and purpose. Family dynamics improve when acceptance replaces correction. And this is the thing. Families. I've seen families that had issues between certain members when they were children. And now they're all over 50. Some over 60. And even though the things they debate about or argue about or have an issue with has changed, it's the same orbit. How sick is that? They've replaced the arguments as they got older, or the reasons why they don't speak to each other, but it's the same thing. And they'll mention the things from childhood that pissed them off as an adult. They never changed. They used to go and take the food out of the fridge and hide it under their bed so we wouldn't get us enough food, or something stupid. But it shows you that it's still an issue when they bring it up. But now they're arguing over something different. When you see that in families, woof, avoid it. You might have married into a family like that. Stay out of it. It's not your issue. Don't get caught up and be pulled into that whirlpool of dysfunction. That's a whole other topic. Because they'll bounce you around like you had something to do with stuff all those years. Y'all can have it. No way. But when you learn to be a little mature about it and see it for what it is and step away from the petty stuff, because some people and some families escort themselves through their whole entire lives with the petty proximity that started at childhood. Nah, I don't want no part of that. But there's also an internal transformation. When a man stops arguing with the world, he stops arguing with himself. The mental replay of conversations fade. The need for perfect comebacks disappears. Inner noise quiets. This inner silence allows space for self-reflection. A man begins to hear his own thoughts clearly. He reconnects with values, interests, and emotions he once ignored. Growth replaces reaction. With time, wisdom emerges. Not loud wisdom, but steady insight. His words carry more weight because he uses them sparingly. People begin to seek his perspective because it comes from observation rather than ego. This is the second half of life at work. A return to authenticity. A shift from performance to presence. A man stops building an image and starts building a legacy. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's unrushed, it's non-reactionary, it's self-contained, and you have complete control. And I can say, this is where I am now in my life. Not that I ever had a problem with trying to prove something to someone. I just, when I was younger, got a kick out of debating people because lots of times I'd win those debates, but it wasn't ego. It was like a game of Monopoly, a board game. Remember the old game Trouble? Where they had the dice inside that little bubble and you pushed it and it would just give you a number you can move around. It's the same game as Ludi. in the Caribbean. But yeah, it was being shrewd, because I remember in class, I couldn't tell you what grade because this happened in several different grades. The teacher would have us debate certain points to see if we can be shrewd enough to make the point in our favor. And then, whatever the topic or subject matter was, they'd have the same two people who were debating switch on their stance. So I had to defend the point that I had previously debated against and won. Now I have to win with this particular point from the formerly opposing side. And I'd win. And it wasn't about winning, but it was about seeing the different angles, and depending on who you were debating, you can chop them down if they weren't thinking right. And I'm good that way, but it's not out of ego or venom or having to prove myself. And once you know that, you realize that it's really a game. But I'm not going to play that game so you can sharpen yourself on me, like because it's not making you any better. It's just inflating you for a bigger balloon pop when you finally get that ego popped. I don't want ego like that. Like the saying from many years ago, and I forgot who said it. If you remember, remind me please in the comment section. But the saying was about slaying the ego. You must continually slay your ego, because if you don't, and this is me adding this part on, you're going to have a rough life. You're going to be uncomfortable, because this is the thing. And I observed this in people that I can see. I'll say it that way. They run their mouths. They have to be right. And after a while, people don't want to come around them anymore. You can see that. And people begin to talk, because everything is a performance. I don't care about performances. If I care about anything, it's legacy. And even then, I'm not trying to not enjoy life just to prove that I can even make a legacy. To me, legacy, you live your life the way you need to and continually improve. If the world doesn't know you and your name is not up in lights, you still have a legacy with your inner circle. And that's all you need. There's so many people in the social media age, they have so much to prove that they're not living life. And we spoke about that the other day, about people who have this need to be seen. And it's a problem, because I've seen young kids, young teenagers get caught up. And that's a dangerous thing, because when you're so young and you go through those insecure periods of your life, which are tough because you're going from childhood and you're moving to adulthood. But in between, you're comparing yourself to adults. You don't feel as though you can measure up sometime because, this is new to you and it's pressure. And I've seen people take out that insecurity on social media, Instagram, Facebook, especially Instagram, where you look at their page and every day it's several selfies put up. They may change the outfit, but it's the same expression. Like, what are you trying to impress upon the world? What do you think this is going to do for you? And worse, we have grown folks doing the same thing. They just have a constant need to be seen, and oftentimes when that insecurity gets a little older, then they have to win the arguments all the time. It's unbelievable. Silence after 40 is not retreat. It's refinement. It's the understanding that peace is worth more than being right. Men who make this shift are not losing strength. They're mastering it. They choose calm over chaos and clarity over noise. This silence teaches self-control, deepens relationships, and protects inner peace. It filters out what no longer matters and reveals what does. The world may misunderstand this change, but the man experiencing it knows the truth. He has not given up. He is leveled up. This is not the silence of defeat. It is the silence of mastery. You see, you can put a 13-year-old behind the wheel of a muscle car, an American muscle car, one of those old 5.0 Mustangs, modified to be faster than what it was made to be, even worse. And say, for example, we had two of those side by side, and you give the keys to the 13-year-old, and you give the same keys to a man who might be 50 or 45, 55 or 40, who has experience with these muscle cars. It's not a race, but it's really an opportunity to see the character. Now, that 13-year-old has a lot of their peers around, and he's more concerned about how he looks when he gets behind that wheel. And the older guy, he gets behind the wheel of the car, but he has experience. Now, they both pull off at the same time, but it's not a race per se. It's just to see their driving styles. That 13-year-old who's so caught up in peer pressure and his peers watching him gets behind the wheel of that car and floors it, pedal to the metal. It spins out a little bit. The tires create the smoke because it's burning against the pavement. And he tears off. And maybe 15, 20 seconds later, after he's out of sight, you hear the impact of a crash. While that older, mature man pulls off slowly, steady. He understands the power that's in his hands, but he doesn't have to show or prove to anyone what he's capable of doing with the speed that he potentially possesses. And that's how you survive without crashing symbolically with the people around you in your inner circle and in life. It's better to be that way. That's the way I see it. There's a lot of things I can do. There's a lot of talents that I have that I will be sharing slowly but surely. I have nothing to prove. If I see somebody with a similar talent, I'll give them their props, congratulate them and admire them, and encourage them to move on with what they do. Because that's been my experience from growing up. The encouragement of my parents, the support. So I don't understand when people see other people and try to tear them down or undermine them. Don't understand it. I don't understand it when, as it has happened to me, there was someone I once knew who was running around and saying that this is their exact words, his platform is going to die. Really? I'm still here? What level of insecurity did you have to even move your mouth to say those words? It's crazy. But like I said on one of the other videos, it's always the people you help out. But the Creator made me to be who I am, and I'm happy with that. I don't have to push the pedal to the metal to prove anything to anyone, and nor should you. And look within, and this is one of the reasons why meditation is so important. It doesn't mean that you have to turn your palms up and cross your legs and sit down in a certain position. Like I say, you can be in a noisy supermarket checkout line, but in a deep state of meditation. that we should always stay connected to ourselves with the mentality of always self-cleansing. Because when you have confrontations that drain your energy, usually something is on you. Why would I have my Sunday best, a white outfit, let's just say that, and see a man laying in the mud who's cursing me, saying inflammatory things to me, and I go over there and fight him and I beat him down? But who won? Because he's still a man in the mud, dirty. And now my white outfit is soiled beyond belief. And I've got to turn around now, go back home, shower, and find something else to wear. I lost. So when you argue with these people, you lose every time. And they never really get elevated. They may get a rush and feel victorious for a time, but they are who they are, having to maintain or live with their insecurities and demons. Those are your demons. You can keep them. No, you're not going to get a home over here. I'm not going to open a portal and engage with you where we can have a transferal of your demons. No, I'm too wise for that. I don't even want to look at you. I don't even want to have eye contact with you, not out of fear, but I'm not going to download any of your energy. Don't you know when you look somebody in the eye, there's a transferal of energy? I'm not scared of any. I just don't want to be engaged with it. And oftentimes, when you do catch somebody's eyes, they don't like it because they see how powerful you really are. Without having to prove anything, they see how powerful you really are. But on that note, I hope you enjoyed this topic. I hope it gave you a different perspective on things sometimes when you see that older uncle or father or next door neighbor who doesn't really engage with foolishness anymore. It's a beautiful thing. And you can use the full amount of your energy for something good. It's like when you first start paying a mortgage, you're paying nothing but interest. But toward the end, or as you get into that 15 to 20 year mark on a 30-year mortgage, you start to pay more principal. And you start moving that loan away faster. It's a beautiful feeling. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Let me know how you feel about what we're talking about or any topics you want to speak about. I'm always open. I'm not afraid of any topic. So know that. It brings me great joy. Make sure to go to LANCESCURVX.com. LANCESCURVX. You'll see it on the screen. Sign up with your email address so you can get everything directly into your inbox, and it's free. That way, when these social media platforms try to shadow ban people or not let their stuff go out, you'll always get everything directly in your inbox because we'll have a direct relationship, as well as all the other articles and things that I can't say on the social media platforms. I can say it there. I'll be writing more articles there and dropping videos that can't go here. So I don't want you to miss out. But thanks for our connection. Thanks for being here and taking the time to listen to my words. I'm on to the next one. Know that I care for you a lot. Love you a lot. LANCESCURV out. Peace.